Yeah. Thank you very much. You have some comments as well?
I sure do. I'll just sort of frame up the study, and $2 million didn't pay for just one binder. There's actually 7 of them, so maybe that might make you feel a little bit better. The study consisted of Tulare County had been maintaining a database for Tulare County water quality results for our communities, and that was really sort of the pre-activity leading up to this. And then our Water Commission and Supervisor Ishida and Laurel were very key in getting the $2 million to come to Tulare County, and expanded the study out to all 4 counties. And so the first task was to really beef up the database and make it more useful. And so there's database, there's mapping, it's available online, so you can go and look at the entire region. There's dots indicating water systems, and red dot means bad, green dot means good, and there's some color variations in between that mean different things. You can click on that information, it pulls up that water system and tells you exactly what their problem is. Tulare County will continue to update our data for our systems. We'll fetch publicly available data for the other systems in the other 3 counties. And we're really looking for those other counties to step up and really make their data more useful and really refine their data, because they would be the experts on that. Through that database, the Stakeholder Oversight Advisory Committee, which you heard about from Laurel and Supervisor Ishida, identified the priority issues for the region, and out of those priority issues came the pilot study. So there was 4 pilot studies that were solutions for various water issues, water and wastewater issues, and then of course this is the final report document, but like I said, there's 7 other binders. Department of Water Resources contracted with Tulare County. We then contracted with Provost and Pritchard, and then Provost and Pritchard subcontracted to Community Water Center, Self-Help Enterprises, Keller Wigley Engineering, and Cabot, Jenner, and Liu for various components of the study. The study came with 59 recommendations. 50, yes, 50, we should have had one more. That must have been a late meeting. And so, but some of our most important findings from the study are, and we talked a little bit about today in the drought response and the challenges in meeting drinking water needs for disadvantaged communities, is to improve funding for disadvantaged communities. In the case of East Porterville, we talked about consolidating with the City of Porterville. City of Porterville has been very generous in being willing to do that. City of Farmersville has also been willing and generous. There is an incentive currently to consolidate communities, but that incentive only applies to small systems consolidating with larger systems. So in the case of East Porterville, where they're private wells, or in the case of Cameron Creek, where they're private wells, the larger entity doesn't get any incentive. In addition, the incentive right now is that your SRF, which is a loan project, gets moved up and can be funded. So basically what you're telling the larger entity is, hey, we'll move your project up, but you're going to have to go into debt for it. And so if there was a way to maybe incentivize that, maybe provide some sort of loan or lower interest rate for a portion of that to make it more appetizing for the larger entity, that would be helpful. And then Laurel talked about continuing on, and Supervisor Sheet as well talked about continuing on the Stakeholder Oversight Advisory Committee. It costs about $50,000 to $70,000 a year to convene that group and to create a strategic work plan for that group to carry out, and continue to refine the pilot projects and provide information to communities that make the study more useful directly to the communities. There is about $50,000 left on the contract with DWR. We've requested that the contract be reevaluated and allow us to use that additional money for the first year while we determine whether the counties each pony up a portion or what other funding sources might be available to keep that effort going forward, and also to maintain the website and the database. And then we echo establishing a regional disadvantaged community coordinator entity or some position to help communities become engaged in more processes.
Thank you. And now, Supervisor, I do want to just say that study is very important, and I know it's a lot of technical work went into that, but it is going to be used in other parts of the state because a lot of work went into that, and I hope it continues to serve as a model, but there's more work to do, and some of the ideas, legislative proposals that we've talked about in my past 4 years in the legislature were because ideas that people like you on the local level brought to us, and we're able to streamline processes and make regulations, not be barriers. So we've done some improvements, but we also understood that's still not going to be enough. The water bond's not going to be enough because we're going to have billions of dollars in future needs addressing safe and clean drinking water years down the road. But we're also going to need to do more work in terms of finding additional solutions to address these problems. And I know you guys talked about 59 of them, but if Laurel, if you want to just expand, if there was like a top 2 issues that this committee should be looking at, what would those be out of those recommendations that we should be focusing on here in the legislature? There's a lot to choose from out of 59,
I get to just that. I mean, I think, I will say that I think that there is a lot of work that needs to be done on all different levels. So a lot of the recommendations were aimed at actions that locals can do, that counties can do, that and funding agencies, and a lot of those are really crucial. I think that. And I guess I would say, just based on what you've heard today, I think we need to make sure that all of the work and years of expertise and work that's gone into developing this roadmap is not put to waste, that we really continue that momentum and continue to build on that and see that implemented. So I think a really basic and not expensive thing is to make sure that we continue to convene this group and track implementation. But I think for the legislature, right now, at this moment in time, we have this unprecedented opportunity with how we choose to administer the bond funding and how we learn from our experiences on the drought funding, make sure that we're able to make that work for private well owners, and that we really target that to the communities that need it most to accelerate a community-wide solution, and get communities the relief they need. So I think, that's in many ways, the essence of many of these recommendations is expediting and incentivizing and supporting community-wide, safe, clean, and affordable drinking water solutions that can be sustained over time and really build economies of scale and foster collaboration.
Not only the governance is important, but probably the most important issue is sustainability of these systems. It doesn't do us any good to put systems in that won't self-sustain themselves. We are facing that issue now because maybe 40 years ago or 30 years ago, there was a bunch of state money that was available for these small communities to put in their own sewage treatment facilities. And some of these sewage treatment facilities were put in for 75 to 100 homes. Well, with reporting requirements and everything, they're not sustainable. And we're having real issues with probably 7 to 9 of them to keep them financially viable. So we don't want to go down that route again in 2015. We want to look ahead to make sure that these projects are sustainable.
Vice Chairman Daly has a question.
I actually just have a comment. First of all, Supervisor Sheeta, I know that Prop 218 has been a hurdle in many small communities in trying to raise the resources that you need to take care of the problem. And as a legislature, every day that I'm in this building, money fixes everything. All you need is money. But that's not the truth. The truth of the matter is money only fixes it until you run out of money. And then you still have a broken system. So I would like, and I know the chairman, I've been to his district, and we've been talking about this for the time that I've been here on this committee. And I know he's committed, and I will commit to you that I would be willing to try to help legislative-wise fix the problem. But what has to happen to fix the problem is that you have your roadmap, you have the tools, you have the plan, but we need to know here, what are the 5 things Is it 218? Is it CEQA? Is it water quality reporting requirements? Can you put a white paper together, a list of those things, so that the chairman and I can sit down and we can start going, okay, these are areas not only he's faced with in his district, but I'm faced with in my district. I have 25,000 square miles and communities spread all over that are on well and septic or have small water systems who are having the same issues that are faced with in the Tulare Basin. So if you could put that together and submit that to this, if I may ask, Mr. Chairman, if we could get that submitted to this committee so that we can put our heads together and go, okay, who else in the state has these same problems? Is there some common sense approach to fixing these issues so that when you're faced with whatever that is, maybe we can make the process a little bit better from our side of where we can help you. And I will say this, there are billions of dollars of back needs. And yes, the local communities are going to have to put up their share because the state can't just come in and fix everybody's problems. There's not enough money to go around. But maybe there's some regulatory and some processes that can be eliminated or made better so that you can get to where you're trying to go.
Well, we will provide you at least 5 of those items, because those items are not just specific to water issues, they're specific to every special district. Memorial districts or other hospital districts. It's the same issues through all those districts.
And can I just mention, I think one of the things that we're proposing is the creation of a kind of office for small disadvantaged communities within the State Board's drinking water program or funding division so that we can have a very transparent and proactive, comprehensive look at how we're going to solve these. There isn't a one-size-fits-all. There are multiple things that need to be done, and we need to be able to adapt to the needs that arise. I mean, as including being able to serve communities on private wells, that and make sure that the way that it's done is truly sustainable and affordable, and we're looking long-term to in this cycle of vulnerability. I think that's, doing that holistically and proactively would go a great deal for certainly our region, but also expanding that throughout the state.
Thank you. And I just wanted to point out some of the information that you provided us here today, show that even though $32 billion in water bonds have been approved since 2000, less than 2% of the total has funded small community drinking water and wastewater projects. It is a startling fact. When we talk about these bonds and we're talking about these very communities, that the folks, these families that came here today from so far away, we should be doing a great job of prioritizing those communities, and I completely agree with it. And what we try to do is get that information, and through this committee start prioritizing how we're going to start addressing it legislatively this year and next year and in future years as well. But I think one last point I wanted to make was looking at the collaboration again, because these issues become very politically charged at the local level. But when you're able to, as you mentioned earlier, Supervisor, when agriculture is able to see this is an issue they should care about, because these are their communities they live in, and families that work locally as well. And then you got environmental justice groups, local governments, and state agencies working in partnership. We're going to do much better. And it's not just in theory. These examples that we're seeing in Seville and in other parts of Tulare County are examples of how we can make that happen. When people take an interest in it, and so we're not going to just ignore it or point fingers and say we got to kind of come together and roll up our sleeves and work together to make it a reality. But then it's also incumbent upon state government to making sure we're providing resources, because sometimes these disadvantaged communities don't have the resources. It's not just going to come out from somewhere. We have to provide. If people are willing to do work, let's provide the resources to get it done. With that said, thank you for this last panel. We have time for some public comments from community members. That was all our speakers. Thank you very much. Very insightful, and appreciate your testimony here today. So if there's any community members that would like to come and address this committee for a minute or two, if you could keep it brief. You could come to the tables here and make some brief comments. And if there's anyone who needs translation, we have one of our staff members that could translate for you. Si alguien que quiere venir y dar testimonio por 1 minuto, 2 minutos a lo máximo, pueden llegar aquí al escritorio y dar sus comentarios brevemente, por favor. Y si pueden dar su nombre y de dónde vienen. If you give your name and just state for the record where you're coming from. Yes, thank you.
Yo no sé, no sé inglés.
Tenemos traducción aquí. Intérprete.
Oye,
Pero si lo hacen partes, así puede dar la traducción.
sí, no, yo sé cómo.
All right.
¿Listo?
Listo.
Buenas noches, compañeros. Mi nombre es Norberto Orozco. Vengo de Porosville. Únicamente acompañando aquí a Dana y todos mis compañeros de Porosville que ahorita estamos aquí por el mismo dolor y la misma necesidad.
Good evening. My name is Norberto Orozco, and I'm here with my fellow colleagues to share our same necessities and pains.
Y yo por mi parte, lo que les puedo decir y pedir,
On my part, what I would like to ask and tell you guys,
pues que si se pudiera no estar echando vueltas tanto al asunto, sino hacer acción y pedimos ayuda porque necesitamos la ayuda de ustedes, del gobernador, del presidente, de quien sea, pero Porosville está pasando no sé los demás, pero Porosville, mi área, Elis, casi nadie tenemos agua y estamos pasando por una gran necesidad y al rato si no ponen ustedes que pueden ayudarnos, ¿verdad? Si no nos ayudan, se va a hacer un caos grande. Yo por mi parte tengo 14 almas en mi casa y vieran cómo la estoy pasando para arrimar agua.
okay. On my part, I'm asking for that instead of going in circles, that action is made. We need your help and that of the governors here in Porterville and the area surrounding. We are in great necessity and for your help. And in my household, I have 14 people that depend on water.
Y ya para terminar, tuve una visita de mis hijas con 2 nietos, uno de 4 años y otro de 5, y mira, hasta los niños miran la necesidad. Tengo fotos, me han sacado, yo soy de Porosville, me han sacado cámaras, he estado en las televisiones, ¿verdad? Me han grabado, y hasta mis criaturas, mis nietos en un botecito de agua, bañándose y bebiendo botellitas de agua que ya me dieron.
To end this, I had a visit with a visitor, my daughter and her grandchildren, one of 5 and one of 6 years old. You can see the necessities, how people take pictures and videos of how they shower in the buckets with the small water bottles outside of their home.
Y hoy en la mañana, antes de venirme, mi hija habló y me dio un gusto, como una tristeza, que me dijo mi nieto: "Hi, tata, vente a vivir para acá por nosotros, aquí sí hay agua."
Today I got a call from my daughter, and my grandson was on the phone, and he told them that to come and live with them because over there where they live, they have water.
Y he recibido ayuda, pero ha sido muy poca, 250 galones que me ponen cada semana, no me alcanza. Y ya hasta mi troca se me descompuso, hasta la sobrecargo para estar estando yo lo lleno 4 veces, aparte del que me echan por semana, que viene sucediendo 5. Y lo uso para todos, pues. Únicamente que gracias a que pusieron también unos baños, que todos los días, toda mi familia y yo lo usamos, no sé los demás, aunque lo ocupen muchas veces por vergüenza o lo que sea, no van, pero nosotros sí estamos asistiendo para que ustedes vean la necesidad que tenemos en Porterville y no nos van a quitar esos baños. Si no, me voy a tener que ir a bañar a la presa y ni la presa tiene agua.
Muchas gracias.
Es todo, gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Sorry. I have 50 gallons of water that they give us here for a weekly to use. I use my truck, but now my truck is no longer in service due to the massive use of it. We do think that we have restrooms where we could use, and we're going to continue using to show the necessity. He would take a shower in the reservoir, but the reservoir doesn't have water either.
Muchas gracias por su testimonio y por venir de Porosville. Encantado de tenerte aquí. Next witness, please.
Mi nombre es Adelina, vengo también de Porosville y vengo por lo mismo de la escasez de agua. Y sí, está pasando muy difícil ahorita Porosville, más del área donde vemos nosotros, que está más difícil porque, bueno, yo por lo menos tengo poquita, aunque sucia o como sea, pero nos ayuda para bañarnos, ir al baño, pero miro que otras señoras sí batallan y son mayores de edad, que van a traer agua con sus trocas. A ver, los miro pasar ahí y sí, es muy difícil.
My name is Belina. I'm also from Porterville. I come from come here for the same reasons of the lack of water, mostly in our area. I have in my house a small amount of water, dirty water, but it's still useful to at least flushing the toilets, and it's helpful. However, I see the necessity of our neighbors and elderly people who have to go a distance to get their waters with their trucks.
Y con la ayuda que nos están dando del agua que nos llevan, aunque poca, pero sí nos alcanza para tomar, pero no es, como dijo el Señor, no es suficiente para tener otras cosas, como por ejemplo los niños no saben si uno tiene agua o no y piden, mami, yo quiero mi alberca, o mami, yo me quiero bañar afuera. Y es difícil para uno de mamá al decirle, mija, espérate, no hay agua, no hay la suficiente agua, la suficiente agua para ponerle sus albercas o bañarlos afuera. Uno de madre le duele porque uno de niños no sabe si tiene agua o no. Ellos piden, exigen y pues es difícil decirles, negarles algo que siempre tenían, y ahora que está más difícil todavía la situación y este año que no llovió tanto se va a poner más todavía, y por eso les pedimos su ayuda para poder seguir adelante. Y es todo, gracias.
Muchas gracias.
We have gotten some help a little bit, at least to drink, but not enough to do things such as fill up the kids with pool water or have them to shower outside. It's difficult as a mother to let the kids know that there's no water when there's something that they have accustomed to have. It's difficult for me to explain the situation to my kids. I do want to thank that you hear us out, and now that there's no water or rain that came this year, that hopefully there's something that can be done, but it's hard. That is something right now at the situation. And thank you.
Muchas gracias. Next witness, please.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Yolanda Frausto. I come from Porterville also, and I do live on the east side. I do work for a nonprofit organization. I've been there for 20 years. And we do assist with, assistance with farm workers with, if the rent or if they're behind on their mortgage and stuff like that. So, I mean, we do assist in that. But I've been without water for 8 months. I do have, sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. I have a son that has a chronic disease, and he has cystic fibrosis, so it's even harder to
live in the situation we live in because he's in and out of the hospital, and he needs a lot of treatments, and he needs everything sanitized, and it's really hard. And a lot of people tell you, well, why don't you just sell your home and just get out? Well, how can you sell a home when it's value? It doesn't have any value. It has no water. So it's hit me everywhere because, like I said, I've been out of water for 8 months. And I have gotten assistance from the county, and unfortunately, I can't get assistance from my organization because I work there, and I make okay money, but it's really hard. It's really hard, and I do thank you for what everyone's doing, and I think it's just it's not over, and we just need to work together. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
And I think you make an important point. It's only 8 months. And it's very challenging for so many families. It's hard, absolutely hard, and this is only going to get worse as long as this drought continues. But I like to just reassure you that what you're saying here today is hopefully informing us that the state could do a better job in supporting families in East Porterville and in other parts of the state that are going to be dealing with this as this drought continues as well.
And I would just like to say, I know the county is there to help and stuff, but when I first got the paperwork from the county, I'd ask you how many in the home, of course, and, how much you make and stuff, and it's like, I work for an organization that we ask for the same because we get audited, we get, state funding, of course we have to ask, but it's frustrating when you're caught in the middle where you don't qualify for a lot of things, right, because I work and I don't qualify. So I am on a waiting list, and that's about it. I'm on a waiting list.
Wow. Thank you. We got another witness? Please.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is John Lawless. I'm city manager for the city of Porterville. I want to thank the chairman for scheduling of today's hearing so that you can hear this important testimony. And it is because of this kind of testimony that the city council chose, against some prevailing legal opinions, to get involved in providing and working with a local nonprofit in terms of, even on a seemingly limited scale, providing water, in this case right now, to about 80 homes, and certainly in a very small tank program. And certainly the city council has expressed its desires to try to continue to work in providing support and assistance to East Porterville. These, even though they may not be city residents, their kids attend our schools, they frequent our commercial areas, they are active parts of our community. We don't look at Porterville as a community of 55,000, we look at an urbanized area of 70,000. So we take those things in consideration, and it's these kinds of stories that they made a risky decision. They took a risk and continue to. Wanted to kind of just briefly touch on a couple of elements, and the city council has had to make some hard decisions. Again, additional risks. We did not do our recharge program as we would be under our water on our water master plan program. We should have been doing a significant number of acre feet of recharge, but because of restricted allocations to our ag uses, we had them coming to us saying, "Help! We're going to push trees over. We'll further continue the unemployment issues in our area if you can't work with us." So they made the difficult decision to take 80% of their allocation, which we should have been doing for recharge, didn't do it. And so we only did 20% of our program last year. That will have a consequence. But we had that diligent conversation, and they felt it was the best to support the ag industry. Many of them not in the city that were seeking that kind of assistance, so that we could ensure that at least some trees were kept alive and that there would be a continuing employment base. The other piece I want to speak to from a city is that we have met, our constituency has been a huge supporter of this effort. Passively, in that they have met the governor's requested 20% conservation efforts over the 5-year period, and in looking at regional gallons per day utilization that's now being reported, we are neck and neck with Visalia, which is kind of considered the gold standard, if you will, in the area, at 100 gallons per day per person, and comparable agencies in our area are 150 or 200 or more gallons per day. So I just wanted to bring some of that context and other angles on how the other impacts, but what other risks and what other efforts are being taken that perhaps aren't on the forefront or being reported as much as in terms of what are other in-kind contributions that are being made towards this effort.
Thank you very much, City Manager, and certainly want to commend the City Council and the Board of Supervisors also for a willingness to try to find solutions and not keep passing this down, as sometimes happens locally, but really try to work to finding those solutions. So I want to just express to the City Council that look forward to continue working together with the State Legislature and trying to find these solutions for the people of East Porterville. Thank you very much.
I'm glad you said that, and that the City Council and the staff intrinsically have been saying what we have done preliminary design efforts to what a water capital plan would look like in East Porterville. We've done preliminary estimates. All of that work's been done by city staff, looking at how can we reuse water, seeing diminishing returns on what wells are providing, and certainly not exacerbating a problem that's kind of slowly emerging, but how can we do this? And trying to do it in a wise manner. What is the cheapest way we can get into doing some of these things so that it's not a huge ask? It's not, okay, here, the Vice Chair's comment, money doesn't solve all the issues. They help, but how can we do that wisely and effectively and not just say, okay, it's $50 million here, that's what we need. No, can we do it at $25 million? Can we do it at $20 million? Those are the challenges that we've taken very earnestly and urgently, and we'll continue to do so.
Thank you very much. Is there any other witnesses who'd like to come testify? Get open some of these chairs up for some other people. Muchas gracias por todos sus comentarios. Anyone else? Yeah, gracias. Anybody else? Just come up. You could come up to the table. We're about to wrap things up here. Last comments. Yes, go ahead, Donna.
Hi, I'm Donna Johnson again. I just wanted to share a few things that I didn't have a chance to share because we were running over here so fast trying to make it to this water issue. I do feel it's not just our community, it is the farmers, and I think we're allies, we're not enemies. And I think we're both suffering from the same thing. I see a lot of people that are having to cut their crops down or pay so much money for this groundwater that they barely broke even this year. So all of us are kind of suffering in the same situation in different ways. One of the comments that I did want to make, because I hear it often differently, the county has worked really, really close with me to help a lot of people that didn't qualify for some of these grants. And they've been, I think, as lenient and as congenial as they could be with people on East Side Porterville. Yes, some of these people aren't on that boxed water, but for a long time they were on the boxed water, and everybody kept saying they weren't. They've been on the boxed water for quite a long time. If you've seen some of the videos out, you'll see that they've been doing this for quite a while. A lot of the people that speak, even the 3 people here that have a little trouble with Spanish, are getting on those tanks. They've called the 211 number, they're just waiting. And I just wanted to say that behind closed doors, we don't see all the work these people are doing, both the city and the county, to try to help everybody in this community. And they work hard, and there's a lot of grants and a lot of technicalities and so many issues going on out there that, and a lot of the people, a lot of them really aren't too afraid to talk about it. And a lot of them just don't understand sometimes how to get, you have to kind of go back. Like you said, the committee that you talked about getting out and talking to the people more, because a lot of them, because of the language barrier, even if they hear it, they call in a number and they get confused on some of those numbers. And they get confused sometimes when you ask them certain questions. You'll say, "Are you out of water?" And they'll say, "No." And you'll say, "Well, how much water do you get?" 2 gallons a day. And I consider that being out of water, and I don't consider it sanitary. I don't know how many wells have been tested. Our new well doesn't have any nitrates, so I think it depends on the areas. And like you said, it needs to be examined more. I don't understand some of the situations that are going on, but a lot of these people, if you could put all of this, it looks like a slow process. It's awful when you're sitting there and you don't have the water and you wait. But if you could take last year when they knew about nobody, and you could take what they've done now, it would be a miracle. because we got national attention within a month. We got international attention within 2 months. And I do think that this issue, as you well know, we don't talk about it too much, but there's a global issue here with this whole situation. And I think that everybody that could and would and have done so much that the majority of the people are getting some kind of running water. There's those few that we need to work with a little bit, that it helps that the county will take care of that, because some of them, they couldn't get the water tank in there to put water into it, but now it's being plumbed out, but it will take a little while for that to happen. And I just want to say that I'm really grateful with what they did. They've helped me with some water to get out there when I ran out of water and when my name got taken out of the paper. And it's just, I don't know. I just don't think anybody knows how much these people have worked on this, that it's really been a tough situation for everybody, because we're the United States. This doesn't happen to us. And a lot of times we just don't think. But also I would like to address another issue is I don't look at anybody as black, white, green, or purple. I never have. But there's a lot of people. It isn't just a Hispanic issue. It's a farmer issue. It's Hispanic. There's a lot of Caucasian people who live out there. There's a lot of Oriental people that live out there. There's a lot of people that just, they get the water, but they don't want to come forward about it, or they don't want to be on TV, or they don't want to be talked to for one reason or another for their privacy. So it's a community issue of all nationalities. It's a little higher percentage because of the migrant workers, and they are some of them that are suffering the most, but there's others that are still having problems with this. So I just wanted to say thank you to the county and thank you to the city.
Thank you, Donna, for your leadership and your willingness to help so many people in your community. Last two speakers, just pull up the microphone.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Erasto Teran. I live and grew up in Porterville. Thank you for taking the time to hear. I think you hear everything, and now is the time to implement the law, that brown sign, the human right to have the clean water, and now is the time to do it, to implement it and take care of the problems. Porterville is now, maybe the next few months will be another city. So please implement the law now, because it's a human right to have the clean water. It's the law. So it's time to implement it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and thank you again for working with us on legislation to make that a reality.
Yes, we worked very hard, very hard, and we met you many times, and I think it's now to implement it and to do the right thing.
Thank you very much.
Assemblymember Alejo, thank you very much for your leadership on this issue. Omar Carrillo, Community Water Center. So 4 quick things. So 500 communities, $3,000 apiece. They have a tank of water in front of their homes, $1.5 million. Let's get over the whole property owner versus renter. Come on, we subsidize so many things in this nation, and these folks need water. So let's get that done. Office of Sustainable Water Solutions, Laurel alluded to it earlier, so we need a systematic way of approaching the 500 or so small systems which are regulated to get off and to actually address some of their water problems. And ultimately, we address those issues. We need to also address the small systems, private well owners and state smalls. It's really not clear in the budget if there's money for drought relief. It looks like there isn't. It doesn't look like there's an emergency resources in there. Similar to the $687 million that was made available in 2014, there was $15 million in there in general fund, and there was $4 million for cleanup and abatement. We need to get to that level, if not or actually go over that amount. So we need to look into that. And lastly, Prop 1 does have technical assistance resources in it, and this technical assistance is $25 million, and it could really help the communication between East Porterville, and the county in actually coming up with some collaborative solutions, because those activities do cost money. You need to do feasibility analyses. You need to do a bunch of different things that don't necessarily have a way of finding a resource to be funded. So the technical assistance resource in Prop 1 would allow for some of that. Unfortunately, that money may not be made available here soon. It's still, I didn't see it in the budget. So I'll just call that amount out, because that's what that resource is there for. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much again. That was our last speaker, and just to adjourn this hearing, I just want to make some closing comments. First of all, I want to thank my staff also for helping us set. This is only one of 2 informational hearings we're having all year, but East Porterville was important enough to prioritize it to have this hearing today, and I want to thank everybody who came from such a long way. But after hearing Tulare County and its local partners this afternoon, I'm pleased to see that there's a lot of people involved in helping rectify the situation and providing water to East Porterville. But it's clear that there's more work that needs to be done to ensure permanent, reliable, and affordable water supply is available to the community. The state has to guarantee that the emergency drought actions are a part of the long-term plan for East Porterville. I very much appreciate hearing from people who traveled from East Porterville to share their experiences with us today. Some of them were very moving, and I really felt, what they were feeling and their families have been struggling through today. These experiences are critical for those of us in Sacramento to hear as we work to ensure everyone has drinking water. We are hearing from you today that the temporary relief is not sufficient. In this day and age, in the United States, we should have communities that don't have, we shouldn't have communities that don't have access to water. It's simply inexcusable. But California's drought, which is going into its 4th year, is creating complex challenges that we have to address swiftly and affordably. It is state policy that all Californians have a right to clean and affordable water, and I want to make sure that that we realize that policy and ensure everyone does in fact have access to clean and affordable drinking water. The emergency drought funds are providing a stopgap, but we need to work together to make sure East Porterville and other communities like it without water are provided a source of reliable and sustainable water. The state has to ensure that there's a long-term sustainable plan for these communities, and I'm not sure that we have heard that today, but we have an obligation to see this happen and to see it happen soon. I want to acknowledge and my appreciation. I want to give my appreciation to all those involved in the Tulare Lake Basin Water Study. This report clearly took a lot of collaboration and effort, and there's a lot that can be followed up upon and a lot to be learned from. I just want to reiterate that my door and the doors of my staff are always open to members of the community on this issue, and I want to thank you for coming here today to talk about these important issues, and our commitment is to continue to work with East Porterville to ensure that there is reliable water for its families. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias, and this hearing is adjourned.